Hey everybody, thank you for tuning in today. I have a 1967 Ford Mustang GT. As you guys probably know, this is kind of similar to the car that was featured in Bullet. I would say the only thing that it's missing is obviously the style of wheels that that car had. But this one is pretty spot on, pretty similar to the car if you like that movie. So let's kind of get into some of the details, features, and my overall opinions on this particular car. So obviously it's finished in this really stunning kind of pearlescent green. As you can see, it's kind of a nice metallic paint, so you can see the flake in there. It's got the white stripe down the side of it, finished on chrome wheels and black interior. So starting up front with this particular car, as you can see, it's got a nice chrome bumper down here. The front grille looks pretty decent. Obviously no real mesh, it's just kind of a plastic to look like mesh, but you can't see anything through it. The headlight details themselves are pretty basic. As you can see, they're just pretty standard looking headlights. Nothing really too fancy, but I'm sure it kind of emulates the real car. Back then they didn't really have all the crazy headlights like we do now. So obviously up here we have the Ford Mustang Pony, and that looks pretty good. And this is a fully opening model, so I'll go ahead and show you some of those features as we go along. So the hood itself has two front vents up here, and you can't really see anything through them. They look like they are just holes, but nothing really too descriptive going on there. There are also some vents up here in the front, but nothing really too crazy. The windshield wipers are finished in chrome, so that's kind of a nice little feature. I'm not really sure what this does exactly. I'm sure maybe that's like an antenna holder, but I could be totally wrong about that. So if I am, correct me in the comments below. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a peek what's under the hood. And obviously we have a really nice looking engine bay. I think Maisto did a pretty good job on this particular model. As you can see, they kind of have some blue wirings and chrome on top of the engine block or head, and it's kind of just blue painted around the side. So I think this is actually a pretty decently well executed front engine bay. There kind of is like a caution warning right here on the front, so that's kind of a nice little feature to have. I think Maisto usually doesn't really do a great job with their engine bays, but this one is kind of an exception, so I'll go ahead and leave that open for you guys. But coming down the side, we have some nice chrome wheels, as you can see, and you can't really see much detail behind there, so I can't really make out if there's even any brake calipers behind there. I'm sure there probably is or isn't, I don't know. So you can't see any of the rotors behind there as well. The tires have a pretty thick sidewall, as you can see, and there's no like writing on the side, so they're pretty just basic tires. The tread itself looks pretty decent, but yeah, pretty standard tire. Down here coming towards this side, we kind of have a side livery that says GTA on it. There's a chrome underside, as you can see right there, so it looks pretty good. Kind of some more vents coming down the side and the rear of the car. I think it's sculpted pretty well. As you can see, there's kind of like this nice little arch right here that they think they emulated pretty well. Obviously chrome around the windows, front shield, and the mirrors themselves, but nothing really too fancy going on over here, but it does look pretty decent. Moving on towards the very rear of the car, obviously chrome around the rear window, and it looks pretty good. The trunk lid itself, I think, looks pretty nice. They have like a nice little, kind of a body line that comes running up through the trunk and goes up to the hood, so it looks pretty cool. And then just, pretty standard Mustang rear end. As you know, the kind of infamous taillights, the 3 lights on each side, so that looks pretty good. As you can see, there's a Ford GT badge on the low, and it says Mustang written out on the top of the trunk lid. And there's kind of a nice little chrome, accent lining on the top of the trunk. So down here, the exhaust, as you can see, they look not too good in my personal opinion. I'm not really too sure what these do exactly on here in the rear, but there are like a quad-tipped exhaust down there, and that looks fairly decent. So I'll go ahead and open up the trunk. And this is as much as it opens, which is pretty funny, so you can't really see anything in there whatsoever. It does look like there's kind of like a spare tire in there, as you can see, with the cover on top of it. I know it's really hard to make out, but it's kind of interesting that they added that feature in the first place, and the trunk doesn't even open all the way. So, it is what it is. That's kind of what you get. Also, if you can notice, they got the body lines of the rear pretty good. There's kind of like the indentation where the taillights sit inside of the kind of the rear of the car, so that's kind of a cool feature to note. Coming on through the interior of the car, both doors open. They don't open very wide. That's pretty much the standard for most Maisto models. The doors don't open up all the way, so I'll try to give you a glance of the interior. There's kind of some interesting design on the seats going on in here. I guess they didn't have headrest at the time, so that's not great, but it does look pretty decent in there. Kind of chrome on the center console, and you can see the shifter there also in chrome. The steering wheel, nothing really too descriptive about it. It does look fairly decent though. Things on the gauge cluster, as well as you can see the speedometer up there. But yeah, honestly, kind of like a pretty basic interior. Looks like they kind of, didn't really do much with the rear of the car or the rear seats themselves. And, it just is what it is. But so this model cost me about $18 after tax at Sam's Club or Costco. I can't remember which one I picked it up at. And this is a new release, I believe, this year in this particular color. I think on camera right now it's coming across more blue, but it really is kind of just a green color, I would say. So, I think the paint does look absolutely incredible. But as a model overall, I think it looks really cool. And if you like movie cars, this is definitely a nice addition to your collection. And there's not really much to complain about. I think they did an excellent job with the engine bay, unlike some other Maisto models I've seen, but this one looks pretty decent. The interior is kind of lacking, and just like the standard issues with Maistos, using plastic grills and stuff like that. The trunk and the doors not opening all the way. So that's kind of like why Maistos are as cheap as they are, because they're not, the top line high end quality models like you might get, spending $100 or $200 plus on Kyosho's or Auto Arts. But yeah, so a pretty decent model. I'd probably give it a solid 6 or 7 out of 10, just because, I'm honestly not really a big American car guy, as you probably can tell just watching some of my videos. I just have a few here and there that I like, and this is one of them. So yeah, it's a pretty cool model, and if you guys find one in stores, I'd recommend picking it up. If you're probably paying a resale on this model on eBay, I would assume they're probably going to run you, maybe if you're lucky, $35 to $45. I really wouldn't recommend paying resale at all. I just don't see the value there, because it's literally $18 at Sam's Club if you can find one on the shelf. But that being said, these will definitely sell out pretty soon. So if you haven't gotten one already this season, I would strongly recommend you to go out and pick one up before they're all gone. They don't always come back out in the same colors, so if you really want it, it's there. But yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. If you made it this far, I think you gotta like and you gotta subscribe. I got a lot more car reviews coming out in the future, so stay tuned and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.